It's hilarious. So when you are meeting when you're meeting somebody in public and they ask you for a way to communicate, do they ask you for like your social media or your number? What do you find that's happening these days, and what do you expect with that communication? For example, somebody on this week asked me for my Instagram first, and then he asked me for my number. I wasn't interested in communicating with them, so I shut down both options. But I want you to take my number, and I want you to call me. Yeah. Junior.
First of all, a lot of guys don't know that right off the bat, that if you give us your number, you guys are expecting us to call you.
Right.
Right? Just because historically, because there's just been a lot of transition in the way obviously guys approach and what the expectations are. We're not going to every situation when we're like talking to a girl or we want to get the number, assuming that you guys want us to call you right away or call you eventually. You know what I mean? So I feel like that has to be kind of set at the beginning or soon on and say, hey, I'm expecting a call or something like that. But if I were to receive a call, I just met you, and you call me out the blue, I'll be like, yo, who's this? Like, why are you calling me, kind of thing? Because I'm not expecting that. I'm not expecting you to call me. I'm expecting us to have maybe somewhat of a conversation, whether it's through text.
Over text?
Yeah, I have somewhat of a conversation just to kind of get a feel for each other, feel for how it's going. And then if it transitions into a call, I'm all fine with that. I'm all fine with that.
How did you get there? Because there had to be a point in the time where you met someone and you instantly would call them and they would call you back for. How did you get to the point of right now where you're like, I'm going to get a number, which is actually used for calling, not for WhatsApp, Snapchat.
Or it's used for communication.
Communication, right.
There's different
How do you get there? How do you get there to where you're like, I don't know if I should call this phone number or this person who gave me their 7 digits. That's my confusion of where it is. Like how do we drop it? Like I know we're talking about social media and BBM and things like that. Like we got used to it, but how did you get there? Like you're getting to the phone number, you're speaking to the person, the person gives you your number, and then now you're like, man, why is she even calling me?
Yeah.
Why did you ask for my number?
Go ahead.
I think the expectation of asking for a phone number genuinely is to call the other person. The time frame is something that is to each their own, right? Debatable. But I feel if you genuinely ask for their number, they should receive, or you have intentions to call them. If you don't call them, that means you're preoccupied with something else. So that's another topic, right?
But
Sarah?
when you were asking for that person's number, what were you expecting to do with it?
To communicate with that person.
Why wouldn't you just call them? What made you go from, like Kim said, calling the person to no, it's not acceptable to call, let me message them first?
No. So for how I view it, first and foremost, is like it's not automatic. I'm not saying if you give me your number, that's not the form in which you want me to communicate. Because you have a phone.
Why would I give it to you if I don't expect you to call me?
Because I can text you instead.
Okay.
If that's your preferable way of communication, you know what I mean? Like especially.
Do you not agree that with texting and messaging and these kind of things that what you're trying to say, your message that you're coming to across gets lost because there's no tone and there's no context. Right. It is just empty air passing messages through whatever. And the intention of your now communication has been completely lost in cyberspace because you don't hear the tone in that person's voice. You don't hear, hey, baby, is it okay if I call you? Hey, is it all right if I talk to you? Like, thank you for giving me your number. Is it okay if we go out? I could be like, yes, sure, why not? And it's cold as hell. And you're just like, no, you weren't trying to be cool. You're just like, honestly, I really want to meet you. But I don't know that because I didn't hear it in your voice. So if I'm giving you the number, which is very personal, so if I wanted you to message me, I'd tell you, here's my Instagram, here's my WhatsApp, or not WhatsApp, my Instagram, my whatever, DM me, because I don't want you getting so personal that you have my phone number. But if I'm going as far as to say, you know what, I'm kind of interested, here's my phone number, the expectation is that we're going to communicate.
Right.
So why are you not
That's assuming
expecting
that
to
the communication is going to continue on that. I mean, in the initial like conversations or in the initial like meeting, what I'm saying is that I'm not going to naturally assume that you're expecting me to call you the next day. I'm not going to assume that.
So is your question the timeline or is your question the
It's
intent?
not really, so eventually, I know we're going to speak on the phone, but what I'm saying is that with the difference in way people communicate in general today, in a variety of forms, I'm not just saying automatically this is what she expects me to do, or this is what I'm personally comfortable doing, calling this person the next day or the day after. So it's gonna be conducive on the way we communicate. Whether that's on the phone first, fine, but I'm not gonna assume that that's automatically what you want because you gave me the code to your device. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't it's not straight up a telephone. Like back in the day when there was a landline, I had to call you.
Absolutely.
That was conducive. That was predicated. That was predicated on the type of communication because there was only one line.
Absolutely.
There was only one, and there was only one option. Now when there's a variety of options, people communicate differently. Everyone has their own preferences. So I'm not going to assume that your personal preference, based on the fact that you gave me your number, is to call you.
Natalie.
So my question then is, why do you not call? Like, why is it a text? Why is it anything but a call?
Because I'm not calling right out of the blue. That's not my comfort level. I'm not calling you right out of the blue.
So based on what you feel comfortable with, it's not about the communication that you guys had initially. It's just like that.
It's not based on that. We can have a great conversation. I'll just be like, hey, what's up? Like, what's going on? How's your day? Like,
so why is it a problem when if she were to call you? Why is it so? Like, does that put you off?
No, it doesn't put me off at all. But I'm not just gonna come out the bat and call you because, like,
pick up?
for me, yeah.
Okay,
I think what's happening. I think what's happening here is traditionally when you give a phone number, you expect a call. Nowadays, there are different options that come with a telephone number. So that's pretty much what he's getting at. And it is the truth. I mean, nowadays, people, instead of calling, hey, how are you doing? They don't know if you're
busy doing whatever.
Busy in the shower, on the toilet, cooking, you have your kids, whatever.
You cannot answer if you're not interested.
Right. But you know what?
Wait.
But hold on. It is a way of being, nowadays, it is a way of being considerate to what you're doing, right? And that's how a lot of men may portray it. Or even women may portray it. Step in, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the way we communicate has evolved. And so if I meet a girl that I'm interested in, and we're talking and we exchange numbers or whatever, sometimes I may call, sometimes, more times than not, we will communicate through text. If I want to hear her voice, I will send a message saying, hey, do you mind if I give you an old-fashioned telephone call? Because that's kind of how it seems. Because the way people communicate today is not so much over the phone. It's, I might get something on Instagram or get occasionally something on
Nobody
BBM.
has BBM no more.
I might get something on WhatsApp.
Minus you.
I may get it from a multitude of platforms from the same person, depending on what it is that they're connecting to. So if somebody sends them something on WhatsApp and they forward that to me there, or through Facebook or whatever. But I think the way that people communicate is different today than what it was before. And to read into it and say, well, if he's not calling me, then he's not really all that interested, or she's not calling me, she's not all that interested. I think it's wrong. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Because the way we communicate is much bigger than just that.
An expectation
That device in your laptop you call a phone, has evolved way more than what a phone actually was. So your telephone number has also evolved to be way more than what it was. So the way we communicate, but kids today, nobody calls anybody.
No.
Like if somebody calls me,
here, you actually can't talk in the panel.
If somebody calls me and leaves me a voice message, I'm not even listening to it. I'm calling them, say, hey, I saw you call me. What's up?
Right.
And it'll sit there. And I don't know anybody that checks their voice message. I really don't.
I don't check my voice notes, actually.
If I have a missed call,
I actually don't check my voice
Once a week.
You know what?
So
I gotta admit, I'm pretty bad with checking my voice.
You can say I call you and you don't pick up. Like text message, like, you know what? Call me back when you're free. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
A little text.
But at the same time, that could have been done first. It could have been like, oh, hey, I just got your number last night. It's me. Whenever you're available, just call me.
That could work too.
Right.
Right?
Or
And then that's where the call comes in. And then it's like, okay, so you feel it out. You know, okay, from what she said or what he said, because it works both ways, that they're receptive to the call. So, and then I'll text back, hey, you know, I was just about to call you. Are you free now? I feel like for me, when you call me, my phone's ringing, I'm busy, like I'm everywhere, here, there, here, I don't have time to answer. But if you text, I feel like, okay, now it's on me. So now I say, okay, I'm gonna check my phone. Okay, now I'm ready. And then I'm gonna text back, are you free? Okay, you're free. I'm gonna give you a call, or you give me a call, whatever it may be.
So you're speaking from, I guess, a married place with kids. Me being a single person, when I want to get to know, let's say, a chocolate dropper, I want you to call me. I want to have the option, okay? I
Chocolate dropper.
want to have baritone your voice. I just want to have the option. Like Juliet and I, we love to be swaddled in a blanket on the phone with a young man, boo loving, getting to know each other. This is an old-fashioned, you want to call it, way of communication. Like, I could vibe you and see how we're doing. Because if I text message you all the time, we go on a date, we're at the date like, yeah, so that space between the text messages is gone now. We're in real time.
Right.
And we have no chemistry, which I could have sussed out on the phone before we even got here.
Right.
So just call me.
I'm not calling you immediately. Right? I'm not calling you.
For
Right?
you, it's a timeline.
So just to know,
No, yeah, it's once
what
again.
does it
I
mean,
talked
though?
about specifically like with a new person who you just meet, right?
Okay.
So I'm not talking about like continuing like text messages. If we have a call, and I'll be like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna get off this call. I'm gonna text you. Like that's not what's gonna happen.
Oh man,
Like,
what she wants,
Right.
you to call, and when you call, she press play and Jodeci's in the background. That's what she wants. Or Backstreet. Right. That's what she wants.
That might be a little too
That's
forward.
what it is.
That might be a little too forward for me.
Remember, you have to stalk her though.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's not what.
Right?
she wanted to be mauled and
Yeah.
I will say this.
That's not what's gonna happen. It's not like a dude's gonna pick up the phone and be like, nah, I don't want to talk. I'm gonna text you. It's not like that. What I'm saying initially, it's like we're not saying that we don't want to call you, but we're saying we're not assuming that that's the only way we can start off this communication. So I'm gonna call you at 9 p.m. the next day. It's just not gonna happen.
Do you use, let's say, social media, Instagram, Facebook, as like a screening tool? Are you using it to say, give me your numbers, give me your Instagram, give me your Facebook, and I'm gonna go swipe and see what this person's like. Like, you know what? I'm not going to call this person, or I am going to call. Like, is that what you're using to screen whether you want to take it to another level,
No.
or what this person's interested in, or what,
personally-
like, or is it just, you know what? I don't think maybe it's too soon. Like, are you afraid of how she's gonna, react to? Oh wait, he's
Or see
calling
how
me,
many
and
friends you
he's
have in
you're
common.
afraid.
I do.
No, I know what you're saying. I mostly use it as a way of connecting. So if it's something like we're just having a conversation, that person has like a business or some kind of talent or skill that I'm interested in just seeing or connecting with like on that level.
Right.
I wouldn't just say, yo, let me get your number, we're gonna talk.
So
I'm
you're
not doing that. But if it's on like, for example, Instagram or whatever, and they're an artist or something, I work with a lot of graphic artists and people in business naturally or whatever. So I'll just be like, hey, like I'm just gonna add you to Instagram, and we'll follow back, and if anything's like interesting, I'll just hit
For
you
networking.
up, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
But I'm talking
More
about
so
on a
for
romantic
networking
level.
too.
So, okay, because what I assume is when you're asking a girl for her number, you're talking more so, I want to get to know this girl, I want to take it, you see how we vibe, whatever. So, are you talking business-wise, or are you talking, hey,
No.
I want to get to know you because there may be a future here?
If
Like,
I'm
why are you
no,
asking me for my number?
True.
Not me, but-
If I'm interested,
Right.
I'm not gonna go straight to Instagram or whatever. But I'm gonna gauge the conversation. So
Based
I'm
on
gonna
a
like,
text conversation, not a phone call conversation.
no, initially, if I'm approaching you, for example, and we're
Yeah.
talking,
Yes.
and I'll be like, hey, can I contact you or whatever?
Okay.
And you say, okay, you can. I'll give you my number. You
And
can
then are
call
you
me.
going to call me, or are you going to message me?
If you say that explicitly, I'll definitely call you. If you say, hey, you can give me a call. Hey, you say, hey, if you give me hey, you can give me a call
I
or
think
whatever.
what she wants to know, what's your first reaction? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna text. That's my first
Because we're in
reaction.
his comfort zone. His
Yeah.
comfort zone is the text.
I'm gonna
Are
text.
you send the
I'm-
WYD? Because
That's
that's
for the-
annoying
that's
as
for-
hell.
So,
What are you
Okay,
doing?
how many fellas here, if you get a girl's number, are gonna call?
Boy, I'm married.
Hypothetically,
comfortable as hell. Like,
Hypothetically.
hypothetical as hell.
You're right.
Good response. So, my approach, typically I would say, what's the best way for us to communicate?
Okay.
If they give me their phone number or WhatsApp or whatever, then typically I'll send a text first, and I'll say, hey, this is me, whatever.
Okay.
Give me a call when you have time. If they choose to call, then I'll answer. We'll talk, whatever. If they choose to text, and that's the direction that we go, then it will be text. But I'll tell you this: most of my conversation with people in general is text. I rarely ever call anybody.
Would you guys say that this is something for Canadians, or is this something that North Americans or Americans deal? Do they respond the same way?
I have no idea.
Or is it like
I live in Toronto, and I know people in Toronto.
Okay, Mr. Married Man from Toronto.
So what happened here?
Do you want to come in here?
I know what happened here.
Julie, put him to
I don't know what happened, Julie.
Put him to sleep.
Okay, so
I don't know what happened in this
anybody
game.
want to swap out for the Married Man from Toronto? Anybody? Really, this is your opportunity.
But-
Come, let's go.
What
David, come.
happened?
Go here, really.
But
Switch.
Are you? So, like,
I'm serious, like, because I find that in America, like, okay, I'm also a married woman, and I would say, even when I go to America today, they do not ask for your number. They do like, hey, can I get your Instagram? It's like, I just want to know if this is a North American thing or if
think
this
it's a thing
is like,
now.
is it just a
I think
thing in
it's a
society?
thing,
Like, what
yeah.
about
Just-
American?
just
But
the way
American men
people
are more
communicate.
bold. I find that Americans are more bold. If they do get the number, they're calling right away.
Yes, they're calling.
American men
I think
will
it's-
call
it's-
you right away.
if a woman's if they're gonna ask for your Instagram, I think it's a lot easier for a woman to give you give them their Instagram as opposed to the phone number. It's a lot easier because then you could hide behind the social media aspect of it, right?
Can you though? Because
what
I feel
happens
like
if
your
your
Instagram
Instagram's
has a
private?
lot of personal stuff
No,
on it. I
but
post
with-
pictures. I post
Depends.
kids. I don't
Depends.
necessarily want
Depends on-
somebody in my
Depends
Instagram.
on your
right away.
personality. Instagram, you can make Instagram the way you want it to be.
Exactly.
Right.
So you can portray your XYZ when you're probably not. And you can get the person you want off of Instagram just for what you put up on Instagram. So, yeah.
But doesn't he know that when he's asking?
No, but you can play the role. Don't you watch Catfish?
Yes, you know. Guilty habit.
Anyways.
But
But it's true.
I feel like that's too much. Like my Instagram's private. I gotta go through all of you. Gotta find me. I gotta accept.
It's
You gotta
annoying.
accept.
It's
And all
No,
this.
usually
It's
you're
too
beside
much.
the person and you're like, what's your
What's your
Instagram?
handle?
See, but we're gonna go from a face-to-face
That's too much because then again, then I have
to
to
like a
have to
social
open up
media.
my app
The way
and then I
people
have to
communicate
search.
today is
Some people know their
different.
handles like that.
Girls be giving out their Instagram though, like that's what I
Because
mean.
they
It's not-
want followers. You're another one. It's the truth. It's another
Okay,
person,
well,
another
don't be
show.
mad if I'm all up in the DM or some guys on the DM. They want followers that bad. Don't be mad if I slide in it then. Like, that just goes hand in hand if that's what goes on.
Well, you gotta remember something these days, eh? Girls play a wicked game, you know. Women don't play a wicked. I
not me, I'm just
I
saying.
hear from the grapevine, that's it. But I'm just saying, they just play. They play the same way how the guys or girls used to say, oh, guys are players. Girls do the same thing. It's nothing that's a secret no more.
And that's also a screening process for a lot of people, a lot of women as well, right? Like sometimes you just have that chat on Instagram where you'll like a picture or whatever and be like, oh, this person's like my picture. Let me see what they're up to, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you go, you guys have a little conversation and then, you know, the number appears in the box. You know what I mean? And that's
too much.
sometimes
And then you text.
That's too
that's
much.
what yeah.
That's too
Text
much.
first.
Explaining it, I was like,
Wait,
whoa.
hold on.
Text first.
So you're
the times
telling
right now.
me, you are telling me right now that if I'm liking somebody's picture, that's an open door for you to
No,
DM
no,
me and
it's
try
not.
to whatever. Because I mean, I go through Instagram and like. I have no intention of you DMing me.
It's not an open. Yeah, it's not an open invite. But what I'm saying, like, if the interaction is there, if you like my picture, I like your picture, blah blah blah. If I comment on your story, for example, and that strikes up a convo, then that might lead to just like a conversation off line or whatever you want to call
It's
it.
your
No,
December 2016
if you're going
photos
in and you're
with
liking
one
all
into
1300
Right,
like
yeah.
pictures,
Yeah, that's a
then
little
maybe that
much.
might just say no.
But are we saying that this day and age, when we are meeting somebody in public for the purposes of, I guess, dating them, that asking for an Instagram handle is a appropriate way to get to know somebody? Is that what we're saying here?
I think
I don't think it is.
I think it's
accepted.
it's accepted in society.
Yeah,
I
it's
think it's
accepted.
a clutch that people are holding on to. No pun intended. No pun intended. But I believe they are using it as a crutch to say, well, I'm not sure, and whatever. So how should I approach? I kind of think it's a little bit of a chicken attitude. For like, I need a man that can man up and come to me and be like, bring it.
But when you get his social media, if he's dating someone, you find out really quickly sometimes.
Hello.
I have caught people in situations where I don't know what they're thinking at the moment, but they give you their Instagram, you're like,
I see you got married last December.
So, and there's a lot of people in relationships that haven't exchanged their own social media yet. Like they won't let each other onto their own personal stuff. It's like it's not time yet, right? So it's kind of to get that it is good to have, but that should not last for very long.
Right.
But
I'm probably putting myself out there, but I've had situations where I'm texting someone, we're DMing each other back and forth, and the minute I say, when I give my number, I'm very clear. Let's talk on the phone. Give me a call. Want to hear what your voice sounds like. Period. Send. Silence. Conversation ends right there. I don't even know what that means. I'm always like, I'm confused.
Right.
So right away, that's what I do quickly now with people because I'm like, then go. And if you're going to disappear, then disappear. Let's talk on the phone. Send.
I will say this though, it's very important to talk to them on the phone.
Yeah.
Because
you should.
Because they might sound okay in person.
Right?
So Rebecca catfish?
Boy.
Rebecca catfish.
You can't even say catfish because
There's
people
a
are
whole different
catfishing the whole on the
situation.
phone and everything.
Like the
People
voice
are
is really
catfishing.
annoying because you
It
can't
could-
see the face, so you just hear the voice alone. It's like, I'm not feeling that.
What if he gave, hey baby. Hey, you know
So
what?
would that change how you interact with the person?
Just text only,
If-
man.
That was a 90s thing, right? That was a 90s
That would
thing.
take you off?
I take offense to that.
What?
I take offense to that.
So that would turn you off from a person. Would that turn you off?
If they had a really annoying voice on the phone, it would. It would.
As in the voice that you heard in person,
person.
was different from your phone.
Because some people sound very different on the phone than they do in person.
Very much so.
And if they had like a really annoying voice on the phone,
I
I would purposely call a girl,
But you've encountered that.
and then
That is
I
fascinating.
purposely call a girl, and I'll say, okay, cool, we're cool. She's like, what do you mean? I go, your voice is all right, we're good. And we'll laugh about it. But if her voice was like whatever, I'd be like, yeah.
Give me a
Let's just talk through text, or we'll only talk when we see each
Can I
other.
get an example of whatever voice sounds like? Is it like a high pitch or like
Baritone.
baritone?
You know, it could be it could be
Scratchy.
a lot of
kicking it at
things.
the bar and everything.
You're talking to somebody on the phone, and you're like, I can't talk to
Because when you see them in
You might not laugh good.
You might not laugh
you.
good.
Yes.
That's it. You're basing it on not laughing good.
But you're pretty.
So going back to social media, two things. When you meet somebody at first, how soon do you show your significant other on all your social medias? Number one. Number two, when you meet somebody and I see you exchange numbers first, how soon do you start linking up and connecting on social media, or do you even bother with that?
I don't care. My stuff's wide open. Go
Okay,
look.
Kim.
What?
So let's say you meet Raekwon and Raekwon wants to add you on Instagram and Facebook within a week. Like, are you adding him? Why?
I don't want them to fall into the trap of communicating with me completely. That's how I am on social media. I enjoy you calling me and I'm calling you. I mean, not 10,000 times a day,
Right.
but I do enjoy that. So I block you from there. Maybe we'll reassess this in 2 years. Currently, right now.
2 years?
I would deal with that.
I'm dating someone that I don't. You don't need to be on my social media. I'm not even like. That's
Right.
fine. Whatever.
Yeah, right.
And we're completely fine. You use that. You call me on those 7 digits.
Right.
And if you want, you can Skype me. And if you want other things,
Skype?
you can use me. I'm saying You know, like,
Oh, okay.
there's other.
That's-
other
you know,
guys
if
like
it's
that.
long
FaceTime,
distance or
you know,
anything,
things
right?
like that.
No face.
It is long, it is long. So I'm
Oh,
saying,
okay.
like, there's other. I don't feed into that because the minute you get into that perception, not that I'm out there doing whatever on my Instagram, no, because I'm not, right? Not that I'm out there doing anything on there. It's just that, you know, I don't want a perception of stuff like that. I just want you to follow how we used to in the old days. Call me. You can text me.
But
Call
it's not
me.
the old
Done
days.
and done.
Hey,
I'm telling you to treat me that way. That's how I want to be treated. That's how I
Like
want
the
you
old
to
days?
follow.
So,
On that
hey,
note,